Welcome to Georgia Storm Tractors Weather Podcast, presented by Georgia Storm Tractors. This is Season 1, Episode 2. Today, we're joined by a special guest. Go ahead and say hello.
Hello there.
Today, we'll be talking about some tropical weather, some severe storms, and much more. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. Let's talk about some of those tropics. What do you think is happening in the Gulf in the Western Caribbean?
Yeah, so that system in the Gulf, I don't expect much with it. The National Hurricane Center did recently update it and give it a 30% chance of development in the next 7 days, but I still do not expect that system to do too much. But then we have another system behind it, and this came off of Africa a few days ago, and this actually has an 80% chance of development in the next 7 days, and then a 60% chance of development in the next 48 hours. So I expect this to develop, and what I mean by develop is that means develop into a tropical depression or a tropical storm. And they actually dubbed this an Invest a few updates ago, so now this is 95L.
Thank you for that Invest 95L. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up some tropical things, and I will present them on the screen. So do you think this has a big or small chance of coming near the U.S.?
I think it could go either way. I think this system could form fairly fast, get really strong, and swing out into the ocean, or it could stay on the lower end and maybe impact portions of Central America, or it can maybe make it up into the Gulf, and then once it gets in there, it's really, we're not going to know where it would hit, but I mean it could hit anywhere, Texas, Louisiana, Florida. It's hard to tell. It's just hard to say as of now, but I think it has some chance.
Okay, so this is the one in the Gulf, I'm pretty sure. Yes, this is the one in the Gulf, as you can see our satellite images.
Yeah, because you can see Central America right there. And it's definitely not too organized. I mean, it is organized somewhat, but not very much. But this other system, if you have satellite of that, it definitely is starting to get a lower level spin. And if we can get that satellite of it, you will be able to see those clouds fanning out on the top and bottom, and that's how you can tell that there is that spin, and it is definitely getting more organized.
Here you go.
Yeah, so if you look at the top there, you can see how those clouds are kind of moving upwards, and that's what I mean by fanning out. And then you have that, some of those lower clouds, you see those grays, how they kind of have, make lines, kind of.
Alright, thank you for that.
Yeah, and then you're having that happen at the south end of that, too, and even on the front portion of it. But it's definitely pretty easy to see there on the north.
Okay.
I do want to mention that severe weather risk today. There's an enhanced risk.
So what we'll do is we'll pull that up and take a look at the severe weather risk for today. We also do have a fire risk out there, by the way. We'll cover that in just a moment.
Yeah. So we have an enhanced risk actually in portions of Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Kansas, and then just a tiny little sliver of Colorado. But there is actually a 5% tornado.
We also have 30% hail in some of our hatched areas, which is Rapid City, South Dakota, portions of North Dakota, North Platte,
North Platte.
North Platte, excuse me, And this actually goes into Canada as well, but the Storm Prediction Center is in the U.S., so we will not show that. We also have a hatch area for wind that goes also.
That's for hail. That's for hail.
Oh, excuse me, I got those two mixed up.
Yeah.
But what
there's
we'll do
actually there is actually a significant risk in that 15% area as well in some of those places. And then there's actually a slight risk tomorrow, but there's also a little marginal risk in portions of the southeast, portions of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, and that is just a 5% wind risk as of now. Might have a little 5% hail risk that gets added, but nothing as of now.
So, as you know, we are the Georgia Storm Trackers. So we will be covering this south area of storms today more in depth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over to Radar Omega. Let's take it over to Radar Omega.
Yeah, and I did actually make a video earlier today on the Storm Chaser 575 channel, and it is also posted on the Georgia Storm Trackers YouTube channel, where I covered that tropical system and the severe weather system. But as we said, some of that tropical the National Hurricane Center has updated since I made that video, but yeah, make sure to go check out that video for more in-depth information of the tropical systems and severe weather.
So we do have a special weather statement for portions of Millen, Sylvania, Butts, Newington, Rocky Ford, Dover, and Mullane. So we do have a hazard of 45 to 55 mile winds and excessive cloud to ground lightning. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at the reflectivity here. So let's look at the 3D model. So I don't see any hail in that, so that looks just to be strong winds. So what I'll do is I'll take it over to our high-res velocity product, and we'll take a look at some of the wind speeds, possibly.
Yeah, that's actually ahead of that storm where you are right now.
I know, I'm trying to fix something.
Oh, okay. I do want to mention that storm is moving at 110 miles an hour. That is crazy.
That's crazy, wow. That's very interesting.
I'm kind of... So, it said it's moving west, but it's moving east.
So we'll do, I'm seeing some speeds up to 40 miles an hour. This is just radar guess. This is not 100% accurate, so the radar's just estimating what they think some of the speeds are. So I'm seeing around 40 miles an hour.
Yeah. This is radar estimate, and this is scanning higher than the surface, so some of these winds could be a little stronger or a little weaker at the surface.
I'm going to put it on tilt 2, and we'll take a look at that as well. So on tilt 2, I'm seeing basically the same amount.
Yeah, usually not too much difference.
Around 40.
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll take a look
areas around
at
50 tilt 2.
That's just now, so let's take a look at our weather hazard for today. Back at that SPC outlook.
I also want to mention there are some severe thunderstorm watches up currently. We have 2 of them.
Alright. So what do you think about what the National Hurricane Center has predicted about the hurricane possibility this year?
Honestly, I think that it might be a little less than what they're saying. I still think it will be slightly above average, but I think it might be a little under what they're saying. But I mean, you never know. So
That's
it could be more above average, but I think it might be a little below what they're saying.
I just wanted to let everybody know I'm out of my regular studio and microphone quality may not be the best, but later in the week we'll return back to the studio and have better microphone quality.
Alrighty. And I also want to mention the severe weather once again. We have a day 2 slight risk, a day 3 slight risk, a day 4 slight risk, and a day 5 slight risk. So this severe weather is just going to keep on going. But I think today will be the most high-end day. But tomorrow there's actually a hatched risk, which is significant. There's a significant risk for wind and hail tomorrow, but those are 15% risk. And then there's actually a smaller 5% tornado risk that does include Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll be posting podcasts as soon every day as we can. We'll try to do it every day, but that may not happen.
Yeah. And then also a day 3 slight risk that does include Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Columbus, Ohio. Just a 15% chance of severe weather. No significant risks inside of that as of now, but we will watch for an upgrade. And I do want to mention that little fire risk. We actually have 2 areas of an elevated fire outlook. Not too much, but that's just an elevated risk, so it'll be easier for fires to start. And yes, you have that graphic up there. So 2 areas, one in portions of Idaho, and then one in portions of Nevada, and also portions of, hold on, my brain can't think it right now.
Alright, do you have
Utah.
anything you want to say for this
Nevada
podcast?
and Utah. Sorry, I am having
Do you have
trouble with
anything
the
else you
states.
want to say for the podcast?
What are your opinions on the hurricane outlook this year?
Well, for this hurricane outlook, it's a lot more than they have had in any other year when I've been alive in. It's a lot
Besides
this year.
2020. 2020 was crazy.
Yeah. But,
Like 30
I think they're all pretty on point accurate. I think they're pretty on point. There may be a few less than that, but pretty much I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I see what they mean. I think because of the transition between El Nino and La Nina, I think because those waters are still very warm, so I do think that will definitely help out a lot. And I will see if I can actually get the sea surface temperatures. So I can see what they are. And,
I think they're around in the 80s to 90s right now.
yeah, let's see, I have a graphic for NOAA I'm trying to pull up. So here's the Gulf of Mexico. So the Gulf of Mexico, is anywhere from about 29 degrees Celsius all the way up to about 31 degrees Celsius, and that's in the 80s. Yeah, that's in the upper 80s, mid to upper 80s. Like 31 degrees Celsius is 87 degrees. So that's pretty hot. And once you get around the coasts, actually, like Louisiana, it's all the way up into 32 degrees Celsius, if not maybe a little bit more.
Alright, well, I think I'm going to wrap up this podcast here. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Southeast Weather and Georgia Storm Trackers. And also a shout out to Reed for joining us today on his channel.
Yeah, it's
Storm
gonna.
Chaser 575 on YouTube. Make sure you
Yes,
subscribe
we
to all those
could.
channels.
We can leave a link below to that.
Unfortunately, I don't think we have links.
Okay, well, if we post it on YouTube, I'll throw a link under that.
Thank you for that. Thank you for joining us today on the Georgia Storm Trackers Weather Podcast, presented by Georgia Storm Trackers, Season 1, Episode 2.
Yep. Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Season
Make
1,
sure-
Episode 2, Georgia Storm Trackers.
Yep. Make sure